Hello and welcome back. Today's video is a collaboration video that I'm doing with Siobhán, and we're talking all about surviving your 20s, or surviving our 20s at least. We were chatting and discovered that we have quite different experiences getting through our 20s. Siobhán started off much more colourful and trying out loads of different things, much more experimental, and has become more subdued towards her 30s, whereas I was the complete opposite. I didn't really bother with fashion, makeup, anything until my late 20s, and I've become much more colourful as I've gone on. So I'm going to tell you a wee bit about my story, show you some dodgy pictures for you to laugh at, and we're going to just get stuck right in. So I started my 20s, I started in Belfast. I was studying there. I was doing a HND, and by the start of my 20s I was already into my second year. And I was chilling most of the time because I got an unconditional offer to transfer from the HND onto an honours degree in Liverpool. But I had a year of just chilling out, which meant working in pubs, hanging out with friends a lot, and quite a few nights out. I really enjoyed my time in Belfast, and I have some fantastic memories. But I also have some lovely dodgy pictures to help with that as well. So thankfully this was before social media, because I dread to think some of the pictures that would have survived had social media been as massive now then as it was, massive then as it is now. But I have one or two pictures that I'm going to share with you. I have blurred people's faces in a fashion because I haven't asked their permission and I don't want them getting annoyed. But there's a classic one here of myself and a really good mate Gavin on a night out. Just really good friends. There's a couple of us heading out, and you can see in this picture I've actually made a bit of an effort in that I'm wearing a corseted style top, and then I had a pair of black trousers as well, and I've got a choker on, pretty trendy, and I had my hair dip dyed at that point. So I went through a phase of dip dyeing my hair for maybe a term, and then I just couldn't be bothered with the upkeep, so I got rid of it. But I had a really dark midnight blue and I loved it, and as you can see my hair was a lot blonder there naturally, so it really stood out. I really enjoyed it. But that was probably as colourful and as experimental as I got in my early 20s. You can also see from that picture minimal coverage foundation, if at all. I generally think I used to use a lot of concealer and use that as a foundation. And I did have a lipstick on. I think I've definitely a lipstick on there. And some mascara, possibly shadow, I'm not entirely sure. I did go through a phase of using a duo I had from Rimmel, which was a really light silver going into a dark silver, and I probably wore that most of the time for nights out. I found another shot of me with a group of friends, and you can see in that I'm not actually wearing any makeup. That was just an average night out where generally I went out in a pair of jeans, t-shirt, or a shirt and a pair of trainers, like nice trainers, but trainers nonetheless. But you know, they weren't gym trainers, they were nice trainers. But I lived in trainers, jeans / cords and tops a lot. On my nights out I think I generally only wore black, it would seem, with the odd touch of red. So after spending some time in Belfast, I transferred on the degree, as I said, and moved over to Liverpool. That was one of the hardest moves I ever made. I didn't particularly enjoy my time at Liverpool. Like, it was okay. I have some good memories, but I didn't necessarily enjoy my time, and I had a few nasty memories that sort of hang over things a wee bit, but that's just life. You get dealt these things. But in Liverpool I did sort of experiment a wee bit more with makeup, not massively, but a wee touch. But on nights out, like I have some pictures from nights out, and my uniform is pretty much black on black. I did wear a red bra just so I had a red strap there, pretty nice. But again, I think I'm wearing very minimal makeup. I maybe have a nice lipstick on. Again, I have mascara on, but I don't have any brows filled in. I don't have anything exciting going on really. Bare minimum. And then from another night out, you can clearly see that I'm wearing no makeup because you can see all of my spots and looking pretty fabulous. I will do close-ups of these obviously. But I think on this one I'm actually wearing that silver eyeshadow I was telling you about. That's there. Or it's blue. It's slightly bluey toned, so maybe have been a different eyeshadow by then, but yeah, it's one of the classics. And this time I'm wearing a red top instead of a black one. It's the red version of the black top I just showed you. Yep. So I did that a lot. And my zip top, that zip top, I still own it. I love it. On a day-to-day basis, I didn't wear anything makeup wise. I just could never really be bothered. But I did live in that zip top, as you can see, with my friend there. Such a nice picture. But that's some good memories. One of my good friends. And just wearing a black vest top underneath that. I actually still know which top that was. And a picture I have of me with my sister and my brother in Frankfurt. And again, this was sort of almost mid-20s, that kind of time, and I'm wearing my Paul Frank t-shirt. I had a couple of those. I had a red one and a black one. Look, I have red and black of everything during that time. I think I just went with those basic colours, and red didn't do me any favours and the black just made me look ill. But anyway, that was it throughout my early 20s. So I enjoyed some of my time in Liverpool, but I think because I wasn't really that bothered, as you can see, my fashion choices were red or black, and I did buy some nicer clothes, just there's no pictures of them, and I did gradually start to care about what I was wearing a wee bit, not massively, but I didn't wear as baggy jeans all of the time, some of the time still, but not all of the time, and I still lived in vest tops and t-shirts for nights out and stuff. But I did start wearing a wee bit more because people in Liverpool generally got much more dressed up to go out, so that's where my dressing up was black top, red bra, slightly curled hair that lasted for all of half an hour, but I did make a wee bit of an effort. It also, I think, was an influencing factor that I studied computers, so a good 70% of the class, I would say, were male, and I just fitted in with one of the boys. I never really bothered about attempting to be one of the girls because that just looked like too much effort at the time. I was like, no, I can just about get out of bed and get to uni at the minute. I'm not going to be bothered about putting on my face before I get to uni as well. So I kind of did always look jealously on, not in a bad way, but I just kind of jealous of the effort that they were able to put in and the fact that they could be bothered and that they looked really good. But then I said, oh, I'm not bothered. I have other things I would rather be doing. So due to my mostly male friendship circle, I never really bothered about any of the feminine side of things really very much, and I didn't have very many close female friends. I had a few that I was friendly with in class, but not massively. Most of my friends were male, so probably an influencing factor in the fact that I couldn't be bothered with makeup or fashion. I did do wee bits, as I said, but not massive amounts. Towards the end of my time in Liverpool, so after I graduated, my friend, really good friend from childhood, and we'd kind of gotten closer again when I was living in Liverpool. She came over to Liverpool, woohoo! And we worked there for the best part of a year, I guess, and we had some fun nights out. And my friend was actually quite feminine by comparison to myself and influenced my style a bit. I actually started to dress a bit more feminine and wore a wee bit more makeup and, you know, made more of an effort on nights out, and we did definitely get dressed up a bit more and that kind of stuff, so that was quite cool. It was the start of a change, I guess, and I was experimenting a wee bit more, but that would have very much been around the 24, 25 kind of age. So my mid-20s I had started to investigate more feminine clothes. Then I moved down to Brighton, where I live now. I've been here for about a decade. So since moving to Brighton, I became much more experimental in my clothes. I definitely started to wear a bit more makeup, not all of the time, still a small percentage of the time, but I definitely wore a wee bit more. So I did start to experiment a wee bit in my style, but not very much because I had to have smart professional look about me. And then I changed again and I moved on to become a software tester. And for one of the best companies I worked for, it was really, really good. I worked there, and again it was a much more relaxed atmosphere, but instead of getting rid of all my professional style clothes, I started to mix it in with my casual wardrobe. So I started to wear more, you know, nice skirts and interesting tops and experimenting more in my fashions. I'm wearing different clothes that I wouldn't normally have tested out. I just decided to test out different outfits at work. And that was quite fun because nobody batted an eyelid. Brighton is a very accepting place. They're just like, do whatever you want to do, that's fine. We don't care. And it was a massive, massive influencing factor for me in regards to my fashion and makeup and general style. It just gave me massive amounts of freedom to do whatever. and I very much did do whatever. As you can see, this is how I've ended up like this. But in my late 20s, that's when I started to investigate makeup a lot more. I knew where some of the makeup, like everybody knows where MAC is in Brighton, although it's moved, which was, yeah. But I knew where MAC was. I went into Bare Minerals because it seemed like a good starter, so to speak, because it's natural products and stuff, and or mineral products. And they gave me a makeover, and the difference that it made to my face, I just looked and felt fabulous. That was the first time I'd had a proper makeover where my skin colour matched the foundation. You know, sometimes you go to these places and they don't quite have a foundation pale enough and just doesn't look as good as you would hope. But I came out of this looking really good, and I really liked the way I felt, and I started to investigate makeup a hell of a lot more. And that's when my slight obsession started, I think, in my very late 20s. I also, in my very late 20s, started to grow into myself a lot more. I started to find more confidence. I became much more comfortable in my body. I finally started to let go of what people thought of me quite as much. It's been a slow process, and I'm still doing that, but I just didn't worry as much about, oh well, I can't be playing with that and I might look stupid. Like, a lot of the time I wouldn't have done stuff because I thought I would look stupid, or I assumed people would comment on the fact that I was incapable of applying makeup particularly well, or any of that kind of stuff. So it put me off a lot. A lot of what people thought of me like what I thought they thought of me influenced what I did. Other things happened in my 20s. I got my eyes lasered. That was a massive, massive thing for me. It was the best money I have ever spent, and my biggest regret was not doing it sooner. It has made, I think, a massive impact again on my confidence. It has grown massively, and just not having to worry about glasses all the time makes it so much easier to play with makeup. Like, at the minute I do have slightly dry eyelids because they're a bit tender because I was messing with makeup, and that means I have to take the makeup off a lot, and dry eyelids is just not fun, people. But just being in Brighton and being able to experiment and not worry about wearing glasses or makeup with glasses, or just having the confidence to do whatever I wanted and having the lid space to do it, has made a massive impact in my life. So my 20s, pretty quiet to start with, pretty boring, and later in life, just lots better. Just lots better. 20s as well. So if you're in your early 20s and you're a bit like, oh, I don't want to do that, or people will think I'm ridiculous, I would recommend just testing it out and trying it out. It took me quite a few years to build up the confidence to do that. If you're away from home, now is the perfect opportunity to do these things. Because if, like myself, you were always worried about, you know, people you go up with knew and what you got up to, you just wouldn't do anything. So if you're away from home, now's the opportunity to do these things. Just get on and do stuff. But yes, so that is it for my 20s. It'll get more exciting in my 30s as we actually catch up to now and what we're up to. But yes, some pictures for you to laugh at. I hope you'll probably never look at me the same way again, but that's okay. Thanks a million for watching. Please like if you liked. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch up with you in my next video. Okay, whoop whoop, bye!